Hello! Welcome to another FAQ Monday. I'm your host, Fluff, and today I will sip coffee like a boss and answer a few of your questions, and probably get a lot more, most likely of the same exact questions that I'm already answering today. Never ends. First question. Hi, Fluff. What do you think of Ibanez guitars? Until lately, I have never held a badly assembled Ibanez in my hands, even the lower budget models. Is Ibanez as big in America as it is in Europe? I am fairly certain Ibanez is as big in Europe as they are in the rest of the world. They're absolutely huge. They are so huge, in fact, if anyone talks ill of Ibanez, you are sure to get men in suits driving up in black cars to your front door, and they tell you to make your Facebook post disappear or we will deport you. At least that's what they told me that one time. I posted on 7string.org. At any rate, no, I don't really like Ibanez guitars. They're not really my thing. You know, they're for the super shredder guys, and that's totally cool, and they sound great. The necks is what are what I don't like about them. The flat spot. Every time I pick an Ibanez up, generally speaking, I go, I think they forgot to, I think they took a little bit too much off the neck here. I think they a little overstanded. Can I get another one? Oh, it's the same way. It's still flat. It's a 2x4. And that's just not my thing. I like a big, chunky neck, which is why when I have played Ibanez's, it was the SZ model. And I've had, 4 or 5 of those over the years, and I love the SZ model. It's like a, I don't know, Ibanez version of a PRS or something, and you can find them very, very cheap on eBay, usually for less than $300 in fact. And they're a set neck, and I highly recommend you go and check those out if you're looking for something a little left of center from the normal Ibanez stuff. How important is it to have the right guitar cable audio-wise? I just can't imagine myself hearing any difference between a very expensive cable versus a budget cable. Having a good guitar cable is very important. It's similar to the tires on your car, easy to overlook, but it has a huge overall effect on your tone. Now, if you're running a cheap combo amp and a Squier Strat and a $10 cable, you're probably not going to notice any difference at all. But once you slowly improve your signal chain and have the really nice boutique, or not even boutique, just a nice tube amp and a nicer guitar with the nice Seymour Duncan pickups in it, you will notice a difference if you change out your cable to a quality cable that's typically more expensive. And people get hung up on the price a lot, but you know, you get what you pay for, like most things in this world. That's a huge reason why I love, endorse, and use Spectraflex cables, is because they actually get their cables designed for them to their spec, and it's more expensive, but it does what they want it to, and it lasts. And those are really the two factors that decide a good cable, for me anyway. Does it sound good, and how long is it gonna sound good? And can it take a pounding? Can it get amps rolled over it? And things of that nature. So typically you'll hear a high-end loss for a cheaper cable versus a high-end cable. The high-end cables typically keep all of the frequency range intact. And those are the kinds of things you can look out for. So again, I highly recommend the Spectraflex cables. Also, Mogami makes very, very good cable, and they are a wonderful company as well. Hey man, any chance Fastback realizing a 7-string version of the Unshaven? Would love to have the patina covers. Cheers! We have wanted to do a 7-string Unshaven pickup since the Unshavens came out, but believe it or not, they do not make, there is no one making aftermarket covers in a 7-string configuration anywhere. And the pickup makers that do have that configuration are getting those covers custom made for them. Go ahead, go and Google it. I know you're going to right now. It's I'm gonna prove Fluff wrong. Go ahead, I'll wait. You're gonna Google it and you're gonna come up with nothing. However, if you are able to make one of these, or lots of covers at this point, or know anywhere where we could source them, please contact me or Fastback Custom for that matter, because we would love to do a 7-string Unshaven beard comber, but those pickup covers simply just don't exist. What is your opinion of Devin Townsend and your overall opinion of prog metal in general? Personally, I love prog and wanted to see what you thought about the development of the genre in the last 10 years. Thanks, Fluff, and keep it heavy. I think Devin Townsend is an absolute musical genius, and I do honestly think that he is up there for songwriting along with the likes of Beethoven and Mozart in his songwriting ability, and his output is just insane. And I do honestly think that generations from now, people will talk like, oh wow, your grandfather was alive when Devin Townsend was around and making music and playing shows. I honestly think the man's music is that damn good, and he couldn't get any more brilliant. It's just, I am such a fan of Devin Townsend and so respect his body of work that he has contributed and given to our amazing music-loving ears. As for progressive music in general, I am not a huge, I don't listen to progressive that much, and I think when I think of progressive, I think of classics like King Crimson or something like that, or old Genesis, or newer prog like Dream Theater. That's like a true progressive band. And Periphery is calling themselves progressive now, and I think that's totally cool because what they were doing and are doing, they were one of the first to do. They created a genre, but I don't like that all of the bands since then in that genre are buying fractal axe effects, dialing into clean tone, octave up on the left, octave down on the right, and calling themselves progressive as well. That's not progressive, that's just copying other bands. And I'm just not a fan of any of the newer bands that call themselves progressive in a lot of cases. Again, I'm not a progressive expert, and don't beat me up too badly, but a lot of those the gent bands and all that stuff that are calling themselves progressive, dude, that's not progressive. That's that's your standard Ibanez guitar and your super clean high vocals and some growlies and some fractal axe effects with the Friedman HBE patch dialed in. That's not progressive. So, whatever. Flame on, I don't care. Hey Fluff, how was the fret job on the LPJ? I played the SG Futura and the LP Futura series. They sounded great but played like crap, and the fret ends were atrocious. I would have definitely bought one if it wasn't for the spiky fret ends. The LPJ needed a little bit of work. It needed a slight fret leveling, and I had it set up obviously for larger strings, so then that means the nut's going to be slotted properly. And I changed out the tuners because I just don't like the Klusons, and I changed out the Tone Pros bridge because I love the Tone Pros Pneumatic Bridge, and I like that it locks. However, on all new production guitars that I have gotten this year, they all needed something along those lines. Most of the time, the weak spot in most new production guitars is the frets. They are not exact anymore these days, and it's sad because every single guitar I get, I have to take into my guy, Mark Stockwell, who does amazing work over at Stockwell Guitars, to have him, give the guitars a fret level. And we're not talking really, really bad. We're not talking about unplayable or anything like that. However, if you want your action low and don't want any buzz, you need a fret level. And that's just the reality of today's musical instruments. And my LPJ needed the same fret level that my 2012 Gibson Les Paul Traditional did. And the Gibson Les Paul Traditional had a worse fret job than the $750 Gibson LPJ. Go figure. But yeah, it wasn't that bad. And now it plays like butter thanks to Mr. Stockwell. You can check him out in the Facebook down below. Knowing you like Pneumatic Bridges, which between them you prefer, classic Tone Pros or something different? I just like the regular Tone Pros bridge, man. I usually get the package deal with the stop bar and the regular Pneumatic style bridge. Obviously you get the ones that is applicable, the one that is applicable to your guitar, metric or standard. But it's so simple and so good, and it sounds much better than most of the stock Pneumatic bridges that I have played. The exception being my 77 Gibson RD that has the stock bridge on it, because I didn't feel like I needed to change anything. But normally with the Tone Pros, I hate the fact that a bridge will just fall off if I'm not careful on a Les Paul style guitar. So the locking is just time saver really, and I really love the sound of them. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for my recommendation For this week's recommendation, I think you guys should check out an iOS app called AnyTune. And what AnyTune is it allows you to slow down a song that you would like to learn without changing the pitch. And you can slow it way, way down, or you can speed it up and learn those tough passages, solos, riffs, anything like that. And the app is completely free and it's awesome. You can import songs straight from iTunes, and I just found out about it about a week ago, and I thought it was pretty cool, so I thought I'd share it with you guys. And that is all the time I have this week, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Again, my name is Fluff, and I will see you next week, hopefully.